Hello, and thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. I know it's been forever since I've done a tarot reading video, or at least what feels like forever. I'm sorry for anyone who has been eagerly awaiting another one. I have seen some comments on my Draw With Me videos or my journal flip through videos requesting more tarot card readings. So I'm finally making good on that promise to do more of these. I hope this video finds you well. It's a wonderful feeling to finally sit down and do this mystical practice of tarot reading once again. If you just want the reading and you don't want to hear any personal stuff about my life, please go to the video description box below and you can get right into your reading. The way to do it is to choose one of these three piles. Just kind of feel out which energy is calling you, pile 1, pile 2, or pile 3. And you can go to the link to the timestamp in the video description, click on your pile and have your reading. But if you're interested in hearing some stuff before getting into that, then you probably already know I'm a talker and talkers gonna talk. So part of what sparked today's video is that I have spent the last few days kind of reading over my journal entries from the past year, from the year of 2021. And we are at, today I'm filming this on November 1st. So if you're seeing this at some future point in time, wondering when did Sarah make this video, if for whatever reason you don't just look at the date stamp on YouTube, it's November 1st today. And when seasons start to change, I find myself getting strangely nostalgic to see what was I up to last year at this time, or what growth have I experienced from previous seasons into this season, and how have things changed? How have things improved? Where have I maybe backslid on things I decided I would do? Where do I need improvement? And so one of my personal favorite spiritual practices is keeping a journal, because that makes for a really nice personal record where we can see the goals we've set for ourselves and see what we've accomplished and maybe where we have fallen short, so that we can either keep going in the direction we've set for ourselves or make corrections and kind of shift back a gear and see what needs to be done. And so I was really curious to see what were my goals for 2021. I've still got 1 month or 2 months left to fulfill them before the new year. And it was interesting for me seeing in my journal, especially in March and in April of this year, when I started, I guess rediscovering the energy of Moldavite, which is, I would say, my all-time favorite gemstone. Just look at this little Moldavite cave. You can imagine, woo, we've got a jumper. He landed right side up, which is pretty cool. We can just imagine going into this cave of Moldavite and just being surrounded by that high frequency cosmic energy. But anyway, in March, I started wearing Moldavite every day. I started keeping some under my pillow. I made a ton of Moldavite jewelry and just threw myself into this goal of redirecting all of my focus from just making pretty jewelry out of pretty stones to kind of setting myself the task once again of making energy tools, of being really specifically focused on jewelry art, not just for beautification of self, not just to wear pretty rocks that are fashionable, but to make pieces of jewelry that have a spiritual purpose and a dynamic energy. And around that time, I noticed my dreams had taken on a much more spiritual symbology than they previously had, or at least than they had in a while. And I'm so grateful to my past self for having written those dreams down in my diary so I could read them over and remember what the dreams had been. And I recommend you do this too. Like if you're listening to this little preamble before the reading, there's probably a reason for it. Maybe you are also a journaler, and hearing about what I've done might be a little reminder to you to pull out your journal and look through your past entries and gauge what you've done over the past few months and see how on task you are or what needs to be shifted. Because for me, what needed to be shifted was that I had let myself get complacent once again after having this amazing energetic boost in the months of March and April, where I was making moldavite jewelry on a regular basis. I had a big influx of sales in Etsy, which I see as like the universe responding to my self-effort. You know, when people are drawn to what you're doing, they are expressing the energetic alignment that you're in. It's like they're giving you that cosmic, yes, you're on the right track. So I had a lot of sales come in around that time. But because I was spending all of my time packaging sales and shipping out orders, I totally forgot to start taking action on my personal dreams. And I think this is something a lot of us do, is that we'll have like 5 or 6 different projects going. And whichever project is the most successful, we'll sort of put the other things aside and just keep doing what we find to be the most productive or the most well received. And so I kept making the pieces that I had already made, like remaking the same pendants over and over again because that's what people were looking for. And I totally forgot that I had written to myself in April about a dream that I had of a very specific ring. And I made one, so this is why I'm getting off on this tangent right now. But in my dream, I was in this carnival type of a setting. It was like a county fair, and it was so cool. Like if you were the type of kid who loved to go on the Ferris wheel and ride the octopus ride at the fair and eat cotton candy and play those little games like popping the balloons with darts or like picking the rubber ducky out of the lineup of duckies to see which prize you get. Like if you loved the fair as much as I did, you understand how fun this kind of a dream would be. So in my dream, I was at the fair and looking at the midway, seeing the rides in the background, like getting excited, like, ooh, which rides are we gonna ride today? And I wandered into kind of like the fair cafeteria, and one of my old friends was sitting at a table by herself and just drinking some coffee. So I sat down next to her and said, oh my God, like, how long has it been? I've missed you. How are you? Like, tell me about your life. And, she was a little bit, I don't want to say down. She wasn't sad. She was smiling. She was at the fair and she said, life has been hard, but I'm so glad to be here now. Like, I feel like finally I've gotten through the worst of it. And I'm happy to see you. Like, obviously, you've gotten through the worst of it too. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. And we started chatting. And then she looked down at my hand and complimented me on my ring and said, wow, look at that cool green ring. What is that? And I looked down at my hand and saw a rough beaded ring made out of peridot chips with moldavite in the center between a couple of golden beads. And what's crazy is that I've never made rings like these before. Like, it turned up in my dream out of nowhere. And of course I had peridot bead chips and I had little golden star beads, those are fairly common in some of my jewelry designs. But at the time of the dream, I didn't have any little moldavite beads. I only had like the big rough ones that are good for bracelets or that would be good for a pendant, but that would be really uncomfortable on the finger. And so in my dream, I had these little peridot chips and these little moldavite beads that were about the same size. And I looked at the ring, and in the dream I told her, well, peridot is a stone of love energy and of abundance. It's for manifesting the outcome that you want in life from a space of love and warmth and generosity. And moldavite is the stone of transformation. So when you wear it, whatever you do is blessed by this alchemical ability to transmute the world around you into the best possibility for what it can be. Guys, as I describe this, my palms are tingling, which if you've ever worked with energy healing, you know that energy is flowing from you when your palms start to tingle like that and you feel like these currents moving through your hands. Anyhow, that's pretty cool. So yeah, just imagine that you are my friend and we're sitting down at this really fun fair, looking at all the rides, just drinking some coffee, catching up, and I hand you this ring. Just imagine for a minute taking it right out of your screen, putting it on your finger and feeling that energy, because that's the energy I want to set the tone for these readings with. Because 2 days ago, I was rereading my journal entries, and I had totally forgotten about that dream and about my dream ring. But interestingly enough, in the months after having that dream, I've restocked moldavite beads a couple of times, and that's no easy task. Like, the country of the Czech Republic has now banned moldavite mining because people were getting so greedy about it that they were digging up the land without first obtaining proper permits or asking permission. They were vandalizing people's property, they were trespassing, and it was becoming destructive to the environment. So the Czech Republic made a necessary decision to ban mining and exporting this mystical green tektite, this gem from outer space. And as an environmentalist, of course, I appreciate their decision. They did what needed to be done to keep the land safe. But as an energy worker and a crystal healer and somebody who is like moldavite's biggest fangirl, it's a little sad to know that there will never be, quote unquote, new moldavite on the market. I guess until and unless an eco-friendly mining method is discovered. Maybe the Czech Republic will work on that. Maybe they will find a way, but I think even if they do, the mines are getting pretty depleted. So where what's called the strewn field, like where this tektite had landed on the ground, experts were already starting to say that as much as ever can be found has been found. So there might be like the odd piece here and there, but chances of discovering it, even by experts, was getting slimmer and slimmer. And so unfortunately, we've seen the price of moldavite skyrocket. And I wish I could go back in time. And this is an impossible thing. So it's silly to dwell on things like this. Like, we can never go back in time. Well, never say never, but I don't know how to go back in time. You probably don't either. If you did, you wouldn't be watching my YouTube video. You'd be going back in time and investing in companies that you know are going to make you billions of dollars, right? But anyway, I wish I could go back in time and buy, like, just spend all my money and all my savings and max out all my credit cards on moldavite the way it used to be priced a decade ago, because dang, like, restocking moldavite beads to make jewelry for my shop now, it's a bigger investment than it's ever been before. Like, I used to buy maybe 5 rough moldavite beads for about $100. And now those same 5 moldavite beads are about $1,000, and it's just so tough. I'm grateful to know, you know, it still is available for sale, but at a hefty price because people know it's no longer available. Anyhow, no more grumbling and complaining because that's a bottomless spiral. Anyhow, but where I was going with that is that this dream ring of mine, which I feel so blessed by the spirits of moldavite and the spirits of peridot to have had kind of given to me. It's like a jewelry designer's form of winning the lottery if you have a dream of a completed design and you don't even need to work on it when you're awake because it presents itself to you. I think Nikola Tesla had famously described that most of his innovations, his discoveries in electronics, or not electronics, in electricity, had come to him in dreams. And I think that's like the secret why Einstein said intuition is more valuable than intelligence. And of course, you probably know the actual quote and you're like, Sarah, you're butchering it. What he actually said was blah, 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 blah. And so if you know the exact quote, you're welcome to leave it as a comment. I'll appreciate that updating or that correction. But anyway, yeah, when we have these ideas come to us in dreams, it's like a little gift from the spirit of the stones telling us, hey, this is the design you should make. So yeah, I have made good on my dream from a few months ago by finally manifesting into reality the little piece that blessed me in a dream. And I'm thinking of that old friend of mine who I saw in that dream, you know, who had told me that she's been through a lot and things weren't always good in her life, but she feels like now she's in a good place. And anyway, in the dream, after she complimented the ring, I handed it to her and told her, you know, put this on and see how you feel with it. And she told me that she felt an instant boost of love in her heart, like a physical sensation of her heart just beating with joy. And of course, in the dream, I told her, well, it's yours, like, keep it. I feel like we met here for a reason, and you complimented this ring for a reason. I was meant to give it to you. And so even though we haven't yet mastered the art of teleportation, where I can just hand you the ring through the screen, that's the gift I want to give you today. Just feel that same love boost in your heart. Just imagine you're wearing this peridot chip and moldavite chip ring. And even though chip beads aren't as valuable as faceted gemstone beads or the quote unquote like higher grade or jewelry grade gems, what that dream taught me, and the lesson I kind of want to pass on, is that the value of a talisman or the value of a piece of energy jewelry is not necessarily in the financial price tag put onto those stones or onto that piece. It's in the vibration of the gems. And so a big natural raw chunk of moldavite like this that might cost a couple $100, that might be something that we look at and think like, wow, that's an amazing piece. Whereas a moldavite chip bead, like the 3 little beads in this ring, we might look at those and think, well, that's just a byproduct of somebody making more expensive beads out of moldavite. That's just the leftovers after somebody carves a goddess out of moldavite. And the store I bought these little chip beads from is a shop where a master jewelry carver actually makes pieces out of moldavite that are like half raw and then half carved. So they'll take like a raw piece like this and then polish one side of it so that you get like a partially polished lapidary work. I don't know how to pronounce that. Lapidary. But yeah, it's like a partially sculpted piece of moldavite and then a partially raw piece of moldavite. And so they have these little chips that get taken off in the sculpting process left over. And so they are just as potent, like they're still real moldavite, but at a much lower price. Kind of like if you're buying diamond chip jewelry, that little diamond chip in a promise ring that a kid might buy for his girlfriend. It's still a real diamond, but it's lower in cost. Anyhow, the dream made me realize that moldavite chips are no less powerful than the higher end big moldavite pieces. And it also kind of taught me that if you have a dream that to you is so spiritual and so amazing that you feel compelled to write it down because one day your future self might be flipping back to previous pages in your journal or your dream diary and might see what you had dreamed back then and be in an updated position where they can make it into a reality. Maybe you have a dream of this amazing painting that you want to paint, but at the time of your dream, you don't have any brushes or paints or canvas. But one day in the future, you might read back about that dream that you had and have a bunch of art supplies and be in a place where like, whoa, now I can make that painting. And so I feel like, as a little public service to you, my dear beloved viewer, start writing your dreams down. Okay, this is the last thing I'm going to say before I actually give the promised reading to those of you who chose to listen to the preamble first, and thank you if you did. The last thing I want to share is that I had a client in my crystal shop, The Art of Gems, send me a message that actually she didn't send a message. She left a review of one of the pieces saying that, you know, it's beautiful and she loved the idea of this, but she didn't feel any energy from it. And it was a moldavite piece. And so I sent her a private message and shared with her a meditation that I learned from Robert Simmons, who is the co-author of the Book of Stones. And he's the author of a book called Moldavite, Starborn Stone of Transformation. One of my all-time favorite books. It's just so cool. He's like a moldavite explorer who dove into the realm of this fascinating tektite before the world had learned what it was, and he presents it to us. So I owe Robert Simmons a debt of gratitude because I wouldn't know what moldavite was if he hadn't blazed that trail back in the 80s. Anyhow, he shares a meditation that I shared with this lovely customer and said, you know, if you're not feeling the energy of the moldavite, here's what Robert Simmons has recommended that people do to connect with the gem. And I recommend you do this if you have not only moldavite, but any crystal or any gemstone, and you want to feel the energy, but you don't feel it. Like if you're one of those people who says like, yeah, the idea of working with crystals is nice, but I don't feel anything, then this meditation is really for you. It really helps. So you hold your crystal, taking the ring off again. Say we're doing it with this piece of moldavite. And you look at the stone that you want to connect with. And it works if you're holding a gem physically. So like actually, if you have moldavite of your own and you haven't been able to feel it, this would be a great time to just pause the video and grab your moldavite and actually do this. Or just, you know, bookmark the video and come back later if you don't want to do it right now. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Just do it if you want. Don't do it if you don't want. It's your life. But yeah, what you can do if you want to is hold the moldavite close to your face. Take a deep breath inwards, and as you inhale, just set the intention that you're taking in the essence of the moldavite. It's kind of like you can sniff the stone, just like breathe in that moldavite energy. And then as you exhale, you blow your breath onto the moldavite. And the same way you breathed in the moldavite, imagine you're breathing out the essence of who you are by way of an introduction. And feel that the stone is receiving your breath, receiving that air that you're blowing, that you're breathing. And through that, the moldavite is getting to know who you are. And of course, Robert Simmons and Naisha Asian, his co-author of the Book of Stones, they describe crystals as crystal allies, as like little friends in the form of natural rocks and gems who are here to help us. They're not tools, they're not things. They are conscious, but in a different way than what we would normally perceive or recognize. If you're of the nerdy persuasion as I am, like when I say nerdy, I mean like I love the show Star Trek. I love fantasy and sci-fi. One of my all-time favorite episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation is when the Enterprise encounters this, on an away mission, they find this planet that's being terraformed. And it's like the planet is fighting back against the people who are trying to populate it. And they find out it's because there's a crystalline structure on that planet that is sentient. And as the people are trying to mine the land and develop the land, they're killing these crystals. And I freaking love when they open their universal translator device to be able to hear what the crystals are saying, and the crystals are razzing them, and they call humans ugly bags of mostly water. Anyway, it's funny how as a kid I saw that, because I was born into a family of Star Trek fans. But I remember as a kid thinking like, wow, imagine like if crystals could actually talk to us, what would they say? And luckily, I believe crystals on planet Earth are not quite so hostile. They're not trying to fight us. They're not trying to get us to leave them alone. They're not calling us ugly bags of mostly water. They're more vibrating a healing frequency and a positive frequency. That's what I feel from them. And of course, everyone will feel this and interpret it differently. But I truly love this meditation from Robert Simmons. And of course, I didn't give proper time just now to do the meditation in its fullness. So maybe do this on your own time without a video playing in the background when you have the luxury of introspection and your sacred space. Maybe light yourself some incense, sit down, close your eyes, breathe in your moldavite, and feel that you are taking in the stone's introduction to you, that you are feeling who is this little piece of intergalactic glass in your life. And then as you breathe out, blow onto the moldavite, and you can imagine yourself telepathically telling the moldavite what you're hoping to shift in your reality. As the starbone stone of transformation, moldavite is here to help us make the changes we need to make in order to experience the best reality we can experience. And a lot of people are afraid of that power because they might have seen a TikTok video where somebody says, I got moldavite and then I got fired from my job and I lost my favorite book, or I got dumped. And a lot of people say moldavite is too powerful, or it's too strong, or it'll make you feel energetically imbalanced. When you connect with your moldavite like this, when you breathe it in and then exhale and blow on it to introduce yourself, it's like you're tuning that piece of moldavite to your frequency. And if you think about what you're willing to change, what you want to change, what you hoped would transform when you bought yourself that little moldavite talisman, or when the moldavite was given to you, it's like the stone sees the parameters you're setting for the changes you want it to make in your life. And then it's more likely that it's going to be a smooth transformation, that the things that it shifts will be the things you're ready to have shifted. Anyway, I shared this with my customer, and it was amazing because within a couple of minutes, she told me that now she feels it, that something changed, and she felt the energy, which is really cool because I think a lot of us have the expectation when we buy a new crystal or when we get a new stone, especially those of us who are empathic, we expect to immediately be able to feel the energy of that stone. And if we don't immediately feel something, it's really disappointing. It's like, well, damn, everybody else said that when they got this, their whole arm started to tingle, or their third eye started to vibrate, or they felt a heat emanating from their heart. And if you hear how other people experience something and then you don't experience it similarly, it's really, really disappointing and frustrating, and makes you wonder if there's something wrong with you, or makes you question, what if I got a fake, and what if this isn't even a real stone? So I feel Robert Simmons has given us a really great gift with that meditation that it's on his YouTube channel if you wanted to check it out. It's been so long since I've watched it, I forget what video it's in, but if you search Robert Simmons Moldavite, it was one of his more recent videos, probably from 2020. Anyhow, just a suggestion. That's the last thing I want to say before I get into your actual readings. So thank you for bearing with me through this long talk before we get into the juice of the video, and enjoy your reading. Hello to you, my beautiful friend who chose pile 1. Before I get into your cards, the crystal sitting on top of this pile is an Epidote Fan. And it's really a cool stone. It has these emanations of crystal that kind of shoot out from a central form. And typically we'll see Epidote as an inclusion within prehnite. And it sometimes looks like black tourmaline, and it forms in very similar patterns to black tourmaline needles. But the energy is a little different. It's a very powerful heart healing crystal. So if you chose this pile, the message from the Epidote is that now is a time to really strengthen your heart. Now, on a physical level, that might mean exercise and eat right, but of course I usually leave medicine to the doctors, and I talk more about the energetic properties of stones. So on an energetic level, what that refers to is radiating love towards your own self. Like even right now, just put your hands on your heart and tell yourself that you love yourself. That sounds like a small thing to do, but many of us deprive ourselves of the love that we would freely give to another. You know, you might see a cute dog or a sweet cat and pet them and tell them how much you love them like nothing, like just automatically. Or good friends of yours, you might feel joy when you see them, or relatives who you really feel a connection with, you'll tell them you love them. But how often do you celebrate you in your life? Like how often do you look in the mirror and see your eyes light up because, wow, hey, there's me. I love you, self. So when Epidote comes in, it's a reminder that self-healing and healing the heart, healing the Anahata chakra, that inner center of love, really comes first and foremost from loving yourself. So that's the crystal message for you today. Now, to look at the energies in life right now, I'm going to look at these with 2 decks of cards, the Crystal Ally cards and the Osho Zen Tarot. But first I'm going to play a little bit of Singing Bowl just to cleanse the cards from energies of previous readings. And so as I do this, set the intention that whatever messages come through from your higher guidance for your highest good. And I'm going to set a strong intention that whatever messages are revealed through the cards come through me to serve the highest good of all who chose pile 1. There, that feels like a really sweet energy. I'm going to set the tarot aside for a moment and we'll start with the oracle cards. And what we're going to do in today's reading is look at the energies at play in life right now. We're going to look at the present moment. We'll look about 3 months into the past and about 3 months forward if we continue along the same trajectory. Of course, it's not possible to predict the future because you have free will. Everyone does. There's no set in stone future reality. But when we look into the future with tarot or with oracle, it's a look at the most likely future outcome if we continue on the path that we've set. So we have present, past, and future energetically through the crystal ally cards. So wow, wow, wow. Everyone who chose pile 1, all 3 of your cards are right side up, which is a very, very good thing to see. The decks that I work with, I make sure to shuffle them in such a way that some of the cards are upside down and others are right side up. And that way we get a clear analysis of how we're utilizing the energies we're given. In this particular deck, if cards are reversed, it shows that it's a potential that we haven't actually realized. When the cards are right side up, it's a potential that we have actualized. So congratulations to you. You are embodying your power. Looking back about 3 months, what you've experienced leading you to where you are now is the energy of the crystal vanadinite, which is a fire element stone representing power. And so this beautiful warrior woman, see her as a reflection of your inner self. If you look at that light that's emanating from her sacral chakra up to the solar plexus area, that's like the life force energy. And the fact that she has these balls of fire in each of her hands as she's standing in this ready position to, I don't want to say attack in a violent sense, but more like attack in a let's get this done kind of a sense. She's ready to attack life with all of this sacred, divine energy. When we see this fire element card going into your past, what it shows is that you have made a decision to face life with whatever tools you need in order to succeed. Fire energy is the energy of creativity, of spontaneity, of self-discipline, and of willpower. And when we see that in your past, it's like you've burned away whatever wasn't meant to be a part of your essence, of your spiritual self. And in so doing, you have awakened your inner power. The present moment is much more mystical than the past. It's kind of like you've walked through fire, you've put yourself through the test, you've stood on the crucible and allowed yourself to be purified of any base metals, and through the process of your own self-alchemy, you have realized the mystic state of dreams. If you skipped ahead in this video to your reading and didn't listen to everything I was talking about in the beginning, I recommend after your reading, go back and watch all of that, because it's not just random ramblings. I was actually talking about the power of dreams and sharing one of the dreams I had in life that inspired me to make the ring that I'm wearing right now and to do this video today. the fact that dreams is here in your present moment card energetically shows that there is something for you in that now is a time in your life when your dreams will have a specific spiritual message behind them. So pay attention. The people you meet in your dreams, the places you see, the things you do. If you have a bad dream where you lose someone you love or you lose something, there's a message in that relating to the care you take for those who you love and how to appreciate their presence in your life. Or if you gain something in the dream, if somebody gives you a really cool gift, or you find a treasure, or you suddenly have something that you don't have in the physical reality of your waking state, the message in that dream could be that this is something you're meant to make, to strive for, that you're going to get. And in a less obvious sense, the message of dreams, represented by the beautiful stone of sugilite, is a message that now is a time of your intuition awakening. And so it's not only about the dreams that you dream at night when you're sleeping, it's also about the dreams you have for yourself and for your future, where you envision your life in times to come. It's like now is not the time for you to take action in a new direction. You've done that, and it's led you to where you are now, and where you are now is a good place to be. And you have the inner setup necessary to start. I'm asking existence to give me the exact right word for this. I was about to say planning, but I feel there's a better word than planning. It's time for you to start manifesting. Not necessarily planning what you want to become, but listening to the voice of the world around you, giving you all kinds of little gentle hints and clues and messages about what it is that you're becoming. When the card of dreams comes up, it's a card of mystical revelation, of awakening intuition, of psychic ability. And because sugilite, this beautiful purple gemstone here represented in the form of a gateway, because sugilite is a stone of the crown, of the Sahasrara chakra, it shows that your connection to higher guidance, to existential energy, to the universe, to God, to your Ishta Devata, to guides, to whatever word you want to put to it, it's at a high point right now. And so this gateway towards the moon, which celestially represents our intuition, our femininity, our psychic ability, because this gateway is open for you right now, it's a time to really embody all the mystical qualities of yourself that you may sometimes question. Sometimes you might wonder, is this my intuition, or is this just my desire? Do I just want this thing to be true, so I think that I've had a message from the universe or a sign from existence? I know I do this. I think we all do this, where sometimes we'll have a message come to us, but we'll second guess whether it's really coming through us through intuition or whether it's just a projected desire. When this card comes up in your present moment, you can really trust your intuition. And then moving forward about 3 months ahead, the gem of chrysocolla has this message of sacred sounds. This is such a cool crystal to see because it shows that you do have a life path of inspiring others and of blessing the world through sound. And so musically, you could be gifted either as a lyricist, as a poet, as a composer, playing an instrument or using your voice. This can also refer to coaching, to giving people great advice, to counseling, to teaching. But in some way, the sounds that you make whether it's musical or vocal, whether it's coming in the form of music or a discourse, or maybe you do YouTube videos like I do, there's a resonance that comes through in your unique expression of sound that will be very sacred to those who hear it. I can say one of the best ways to develop this is to do mantra japa, like to chant Sanskrit mantras, to chant the syllable of Om. Do some kind of chanting. And if you play an instrument, dedicate some time every day, or at least once a week, to playing that instrument and to allowing that sound to flow, because you are on a life path of sacred sounds. You are a sound healer. And this card is really confirming that for you. If it's something that you've ever thought about and wondered about, yes, trust your intuition. You've blazed a beautiful trail for yourself. You've done the hard work. You've come through that fire. And what you're moving into is the beautiful embodiment of sacred sound. And now let's look at more the physical stuff going on in life. These are like the energies that you're experiencing right now. Physically, what you're going through. Present, past, and future. So in the present moment, the card of comparison is here and it's reversed, which shows that one of the struggles that you experience, one of the difficulties, is that you have a tendency to devalue yourself and to feel less than what you are because of the differences you perceive between yourself and others. In this card, we see the trunk of a tree next to a bamboo shoot. And what I always get when I see this card is the feeling that each of these plants is perfect. Like the tree, it's strong, it's stable, it provides shelter and shade for anyone who wants to sit beneath it. And the bamboo is also perfect. It grows so quickly, it can be a talisman or a symbol of good luck to those who have lucky bamboo. It's beautiful. It provides nourishment to the animals who eat it. It can be formed into a flute. It can be made into beads. There are things that can be done with bamboo that can't be done with the tree. And there are things that can be done with the tree that can't be done with bamboo. The bamboo grows so much more quickly. If you plant a piece of bamboo in the right climate, it shoots up. It can double in height faster than you can imagine. A tree is slower to grow, but a tree gets wider. It expands more along the ground. Its root system goes in deeper. The bamboo doesn't do that. And so if this perfect tree looks at the bamboo and thinks, well, I must be doing something wrong because I'm not shooting up as tall, suddenly that tree will be doubting itself even though it's perfect. And similarly, if the bamboo looks at the tree and thinks, whoa, I must be doing something wrong, I'm not as thick, I'm not as deeply rooted, the bamboo will be questioning itself even though it's already perfect. And so when this card comes up over top of the card of dreams, you may have amazing visions for your life and great ideas that you want to bring into reality. And there are things about you that don't exist in anybody else. There are ideas you've had that nobody else has done before. There are qualities that you carry that you don't see in your friends and in your relatives. And you might think there's something you need to change because other people don't do this thing that you do, or think this thing that you think, or believe this thing that you believe, or dream this thing that you dream. But you're perfect as you are. They are perfect expressions of who they are, and you are a perfect expression of who you are. And so there's no need to compare yourself to somebody else. You can't measure yourself by somebody else's ruler because you are completely perfect. Now, this card in the present moment shows, I think, why the stone of Epidote was so important as the talisman or as the crystal symbol for your reading. Because the message of Epidote, remember, is to radiate the love towards yourself that you freely give to others, and to feel that gratitude to be you, because you are a great person to be. Now, the good thing is here, going back into the past, we see the card of playfulness, and it's right side up. So that shows that while you were going through your warrior phase, while you were awakening your inner power and going through what I feel were trials, you've gone through difficulties, you've been tested, you've passed those tests, and you did it with a good mood. You never really fell into that self-pity that can cause people to stumble or to fail a test or to hold themselves back from their growth. Seeing playfulness along with power shows that you keep your energy and your spirit high, even while you're developing yourself and jumping over hurdles. It's kind of like, now that you have the time to think about it, when you're taking an action, for example, if you're running a marathon, you don't really have the luxury to put your feet up and think about your strategy for running. You just have to keep going towards that finish line. If you're writing an exam at school, there's a deadline. You have to keep taking that test. You can't spend hours contemplating every question. If you don't know the answer, you still have to move on to the next question. What I'm seeing is, in the past, what's led you to where you are now, you've had to take immediate action, make decisions on the fly, go, 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 go. You kept your mood good while you were doing that. Now that you're at the finish line, or now that the results of the test are in, you have the time to look back at what you've done and to assess whether you feel you succeeded or failed, how good of a job you think you did, what you wish you had done differently. Based on the card of Sugilite, I'm seeing that you made the right choices, you took the right actions, you did things as they needed to be done. Yay you, like go you, you did great. The comparison card shows that the one thing holding you back from really appreciating yourself is that you compare your results with other people's results. You might have done the best job possible for yourself, but if somebody had a higher score, a faster time to the finish line, a higher paycheck at the end of the year, whatever it might be, if somebody else's results you perceive as being better than yours, you're not taking the proper time to congratulate yourself and to bask in your success. Keeping in mind that your dreams are different than anybody else's dreams. The gifts that you've brought are going to be different than other people's gifts. So don't worry about whether you have the same thing as somebody else. Embrace what you have and work with your strengths. And I know this sounds really general because, of course, this isn't a private reading just for you. This is a reading for everyone who chose pile 1. So there will be slight differences here. That's why I can't get into the very, very nitty-gritty specifics. If you want something like that, I would recommend booking a private session through my Wizio page where I offer tarot readings one-on-one. But what I can say in this general space, and I'm sure you can figure out where it applies to your life without having it spelled out completely, but let go of that tendency to compare yourself to others and to feel that you're falling up short, because for the goals that you have in life, for the dreams that you're starting to awaken to, it would be a disadvantage for you to have things the same as what other people have. You're not here to be them, you're here to be you, and so all the tools that you have are exactly the tools that you need. and the future we're moving to. Don't be fooled by the word ordinary, because ordinariness is greatness if you stop to see the beauty around you. This lady here, carrying her basket of flowers, she's surrounded by this blooming field. You see the cherry blossoms on the trees, the blue sky and the white clouds. It's an ordinary scene if it's something that you're used to. But if somebody lives in a congested city and surrounded by concrete, they might see something like this, and instead of ordinariness, they see paradise. When ordinariness is right side up, not reversed, it shows that the future you're moving into is a future where you will finally have a complete appreciation for the gifts that you've been given in life, for the world around you. The flowers that she's collecting are the task that she's focused on, and she has an abundance of those available. When this card comes up on top of the card of sacred sounds, the message I'm hearing for you is that the gifts that you have for communication, the ability that you have to put concepts into words, whether it's poetry or lyrics or giving a speech, or maybe you give a TED Talk, or maybe you make a YouTube video, or you write a blog, but your ability to take your feelings and your thoughts and share them with others is something very healing to the world around you. That sound to others is sacred. Now, we ourselves think of what we have as ordinary. For example, I'm remembering an interview I saw on TV once with a little kid who was raised, I don't even remember what the situation was anymore, so I'm not going to make something up. I don't remember the situation. It could be that he was raised in a palace with really wealthy parents, or his parents were famous rock stars or something, but this child had what most of us would perceive as a very unusual, privileged upbringing. And the interviewer asked, what was it like growing up with these people as your parents in that kind of a house? And the kid said, I don't know, it was ordinary. And that's because it was that child's experience. And so to those who are born and raised in palaces, palaces are ordinary. To those born and raised in a slum, they don't think of themselves as downtrodden and sad and depressed. To them, that's ordinary, and they'll do what they can with what they have. Wherever you're born, whatever you do, you might feel this is just ordinary. But when you come to recognize the uniqueness of your situation, because no two experiences of life are the same, that ordinariness becomes something you can meditate on and appreciate. Ordinary becomes extraordinary, extraordinary. So be extra in your ordinary. Whatever you feel is just your ordinary life, be a little extra about it, and that is you taking this ordinariness and radiating extraordinariness. And trust that your unique expression is sacred, because this card being right set up shows that it is. I hope this was helpful for you today. These are the general energies and the general experience that you're going through right now. It's not by any means meant to be everything that you're going through, but I would say, generally speaking, those of you who chose pile 1, this is a very positive time in your life, and it's also a time where you are between major events. You've gone through something pretty big that has transformed in your past. You're moving into something that's going to be like the fulfillment of your aspirations. I see this as a career change to do with the sacred sound. So whether that's becoming a teacher or a counselor or a public speaker or a musician or a performer or a poet or a writer or a blogger, or making musical instruments or playing crystal singing bowls at events or whatever it might be, being a DJ. Whatever you're going to move into is going to be kind of a new direction. But now is the time for you to really let go of the comparisons you've made between yourself and others. Recognize your gifts for the unique perfection that they are, and pay attention to your dreams. I highly recommend, if you don't do this already, have a journal where you can write down your dreams in as much detail as possible when you wake up, so that you have a physical record of those. I know sometimes when we have a really cool dream, we'll think, I'm never going to forget this. But if we don't write it down, we forget. So write down your dreams, write down your hopes, write down your aspirations, keep a record of those, pay attention to them, flood some gratitude towards yourself, understand that you are exactly who you're meant to be. You're not meant to be like anybody else because you are not anybody else. And look forward to developing that sacred sound gift as you move into the future. So these 3 stones could make great talismans for you at this point if you choose to work with crystal healing: vanadinite, sugilite, and chrysocolla. And obviously that's not necessary. They're all right set up, so you are already tapped into that energy. So just enjoy it. Much love to you. Thank you for watching the video. I hope it was helpful, and we'll see you next time. And hello to you who chose pile 2. Pardon that little accidental poem. The last reading ended with the card of sacred sound, so I think I'm in that poetic state of mind right now. But welcome. Your crystal that you chose today is Himalayan Hemimorphite. There's some fun alliteration. Himalayan Hemimorphite. Isn't this a lovely little cube of crystal? It looks so much like Larimar, with those ocean-like waves that run through it in these soft oceanic colors. So blue Hemimorphite, it's a crystal. I'll leave it here as I talk about it. It's a crystal that very beautifully soothes and empowers the throat, the Vishuddhi chakra, which is our center for personal expression. And by you're being drawn to this energy today by choosing this Hemimorphite for your tarot pile, it shows that now is a time in your life for you to really honor your expression, to speak your truth. When you have something to say, trust yourself that it's important to say it. When we heal the throat, the Vishuddhi chakra, it's about that soothing energy. So the way you feel when your throat is dry and then you drink some cool water, that's the feeling I want you to imagine as we get into this reading. When you choose, or when you're drawn to this kind of a stone, it means that your self-expression is something very important. So honor your feelings, honor your voice, honor what it is that you have to express. Now would be a great time for you to keep a diary, to write down your feelings, and maybe drink some cold water. Let that soothing energy wash through your throat. So before we get into the reading, I'll play the singing bowl to clear the space of this room, to ensure that the cards are receptive to you. And as I do this, I surrender and set the intention that whatever messages come through me come through to serve the highest good of those who chose pile 2. And I suggest you take a deep breath and set the intention that whatever messages come through the cards serve your highest good. And now that we are sonically refreshed, I'm going to set the tarot cards aside and start your reading with the crystal ally cards. And so what we're going to look at in today's reading is the current energies at play in your life what you've been through recently and where you're headed if you continue on this same trajectory. We're going to look at present, past, and future. How cool! This card of Sacred Sounds, it was there as the future card for everyone who chose pile 1, and now it's here as your past card, those of you who chose pile 2. So it's funny, when I accidentally rhymed at the beginning of your video, part of me wondered, why is this sacred sound energy coming through for pile 2 when that's a pile 1 card? Now I see this is something you share in common. Something else that you share in common that is very positive, that makes me so happy as a tarot oracle reader, is that all 3 of your cards are right side up. Now, when a card is right side up, it means this is an energy available to you, which you are experiencing and expressing. If it's reversed, that's not necessarily a negative thing. A reversed card just means this is something available to you, but you haven't accepted it or taken it yet. And so seeing that all 3 of these cards are right side up, it means your present moment, your past, and the future that you're moving into, you're in tune with yourself enough to recognize what is your gift, what's available to you, and you're aligned with your life purpose, so you are experiencing it. The present moment card of Insight, represented by the stone azurite, shows this royal-looking Egyptian figure with that powerful blue crystal in the space of the third eye. The message of Insight tells us that obviously you are insightful. You are intuitive. Your third eye is open. You're able to see the reality around you for what it is and to understand which forces are at play. You have a very highly tuned psychic gift. And so immediately this reading for you today is more just a confirmation of what you already know. There's not going to be any big surprises revealed here. You can't really reveal something to somebody whose third eye is open because they already know it. And so this card of Insight in the present moment lets you know that you're on the right track. You can trust your intuition, you can trust your perception, and you can trust your insight. The fact that this is an air element card refers to your vocal expressions and your intellect. And so anything that you speak out loud with other people, it's tuned into that same insight. So I see this as a time in your life where you will be giving a lot of advice. People will be coming to you with questions, and you can trust that you have the right to venture an answer, to give an opinion. Because your opinions are not just opinions. Your opinions are grounded in observation. You weigh things through, you think things through before you speak them out loud. And that's a very good quality for somebody to have who chooses to share their insight. Now, the past goes back about 3 months, and the card of Sacred Sounds tells us that you've had a very creative journey leading you to where you are. And so the way that you experience music, maybe you play music, maybe you sing little songs when you're all by yourself, and that's the feeling I'm getting from this card for you. Being really vocal, being very expressive, maybe drumming little beats on the table, having this playfulness about sound has led you to this awakening of your intuition and your insight. It's like music, sound, vocalization, harmonization, listening to music, but also contributing into it. This is part of your path of third eye awakening. And the stone of Chrysocolla is a throat chakra stone, similar to the Hemimorphite you chose at the beginning of your reading. And so this really shows that your voice is something very sacred to you. The fact that this is in the past and the Hemimorphite was on the top of the pile for your present, shows that it's not that you've moved away from that, away from the throat and into the third eye. It's more like you've integrated the throat into your third eye. And so what I'm feeling here is that in the past, you were already expressing, but now your expressions have taken on an even more mystical, profound, intuitive meaning to them. And so the words that you're composing, for example, if you're doing poetry or lyricism, you've taken that in a direction of a deeper intellectual content. Seeing this water element in the past, it also shows that you were really going with the flow, you were surrendered to the currents of life. Moving into the air element shows that you've gone from maybe journeying by water, letting the world carry you, into a place where now you're more processing that intellectually. You're thinking back over the experiences you've had, over the directions your life has taken, and you're coming to conclusions about what it is that you've learned along the way, which is a very beautiful, harmonious energy. It's like when we're in the moment, especially if we're going with the flow and we're surrendered to the currents and we're letting the tide take us, in those moments, we're just purely experiencing existence. It's more when we come to the destination that we think back and analyze and interpret and start to formulate a deeper understanding of what we've been through. And so I see this as a time in your life where you've come through a journey and now you're reflecting on that journey. In the future, the card of inner child, represented by the gem rhodochrosite, is here, also right side up. And it shows that this journey into the past, mentally, emotionally, intellectually, the way that you've been thinking back on your recent experiences, you're going to be taking that deeper and thinking back to your childhood experiences. When we see the form of this child sitting, contemplating, in that pose of thought, when we see that in the symbol of the heart, it shows that this is a time for you to start healing any wounds felt by yourself in your childhood where you weren't understood by others. What I'm really feeling here, especially with the card of insight and the card of sacred sounds, those who have a poetic soul like you do are often misunderstood by people who are more matter of fact and grounded and practical. When you grow up as somebody who is a little bit more spiritually tuned and poetic than the people around you, it's easy to feel isolated and to kind of become introverted so that you protect your heart and protect your energy. When I see this card coming up in the future, and it's a lovely kind of an earthy and fiery card simultaneously. When we see this message coming up, it means that you're going to be ready to face some of the difficulties you've gone through in childhood at a time where you are now prepared to really heal them, to really come to the core, and to nurture yourself. The fact that it's right side up means you'll be successful in that. It's not like you're going to have this flood of memories of bad things that happened to you and be overwhelmed. It's more like you're going to sit down and start thinking back to experiences where you felt maybe hurt or judged or misunderstood. And you'll be able to see the beauty of who you are despite how other people once perceived you. Now I'm going to look at Osho Zen Tarot cards. These are like the energies at play in life right now. We're going to have a look now at the more physical aspects of these. Present, past, and future. Okay, it's definitely other people here. Okay, before we get into that, again, all three of the cards are right side up, which is just mind-boggling to me. I'm seeing this for the second time in a reading today. The adventure card in the present moment with this little child. Here's the two different sides of the inner child coin. There's the reflective, introspective inner child who's not really understood by the people around them. And then there's this adventurous little inner child, curious to explore the new light awakening in their life. So the present moment card of adventure on top of the card of insight shows that this is really an exciting time for you spiritually, where you're starting to see the results of your manifestations. You're starting to see things that you set an intention for actually happening. And that's a very exciting time psychically and spiritually and practically, where life becomes a path of synchronicities. I'm really seeing that beautiful energy for you right now, where you're going on a journey of exploration into your identity and you're discovering how magical you are. The card of silence on top of the card of sacred sounds is such a cool yin-yang energy because we think of these as opposites, sound and silence. And so when the energy that you experienced was sacred sound, but the physical experience was silence, what I'm interpreting is that you had great ideas for songs and for poems and for music. It's like the music is inside you, but externally, so far, you've held yourself back from sharing those with others. It's like you might have a great idea for a book, but you haven't published it yet. You're still kind of honing that story. You might have some beautiful songs that you sing when you're by yourself, like I was seeing in that vision at the beginning of this, but you haven't yet shared them with others. The card of silence is one of my personal favorite cards in any tarot deck anywhere. It's actually the first card I ever saw in the Osho Zen Tarot. I'll tell you the story of this card right now. I feel it's relevant for you because it's right side up here. The very first time I ever bought myself a little piece of moldavite, it wasn't this piece here. It's in my personal medicine pouch that I'm wearing right now, and I'm too lazy to dig it out, so I'll show you this one instead. But the first time I ever wore a piece of moldavite, I was about to take the bus home after finishing up at the Crystal Arc in Vancouver, and I was standing at the bus stop to catch the 99B line. No, the 99B line on Broadway at Granville. And it was rush hour, like there were a lot of people around. And I looked up at the sky, and it was kind of a partially cloudy full moon night. And I saw clouds slowly part in the sky and the moon shining through those clouds. And the clouds moved themselves into the shape of a face. And the moon was at the place of the third eye. And for a minute, I wondered, like, whoa, is this the moldavite projecting this vision into the sky, or is it physically there? So I put my ego aside and actually, like, out loud asked the other passengers waiting at the bus stop, like, hey, does anybody else see that in the sky right now? And I pointed at the moon, and one guy yelled, whoa, yeah, there's like a face. And another person said, whoa, and the moon is in the third eye. So for me, that's how I knew it wasn't me having a vision. Like, that's physically what the sky looked like in that moment. And it was so beautiful that when the bus pulled up to the stop, I decided I didn't want to get on the bus. I wanted to walk home so I could keep looking at the sky. And at the time, I lived on 7th Avenue in the Mount Pleasant area. If you're from Vancouver, this will make sense to you. Otherwise, I'm sorry for too much detail, but if you're in Vancouver, this might be interesting. So I was walking down Broadway, and as I got to Main Street, across from Our Town Coffee at that time, there was a new little secondhand bookstore called Wet Wizard Used Books. And I decided to walk in, and I grabbed just the first random book on the shelf next to the door, and I opened it to a random page and saw this image. What I didn't know was that the book I randomly pulled out was the accompanying book to the Osho Zen Tarot cards. But the page I opened to was this card of silence, on which I saw this beautiful painting by the artist Mahadeva Padma of exactly what I had seen in the sky. And now, mind you, what I saw wasn't exactly this. What I saw was more a face made of clouds. It was smaller, it was higher. There wasn't this beautiful mountain and lake scene. There was just a cityscape under it. But you get the idea. This card shows a face in the sky, and the moon is in the place of the third eye. And that's what I had seen, waiting at the bus stop when I decided to take a walk. And so for me, it was the perfect confirmation of being in the right place at the right time. So I bought the deck. That's why this is, to this day, my favorite tarot deck to work with, because I feel like it was introduced to me in a very visionary, mystical way. But the message on the card of silence, it's a card about introspection and meditation and looking within and connecting with that intuition symbolized by the moon. And so when this card of silence is there over the card of sacred sound in your past, and I felt the synchronicities on your path when I saw this little child exploring nature in the card of adventure, the reason I shared that personal anecdote from my life is that I feel that you and I, you meaning everyone who chose pile 2 for your reading, we are both mystical in the sense where we actually experience synchronicities in our outer world that are reflective of the awakening we're going through in our inner world. And so similarly, I think of you as a stargazer, as a sky watcher, of a cloud interpreter. And in the past, going back about 3 months, you started to deepen your intuition, started to deepen your introspection through silence. And what's so cool is that your capacity for sacred sound to heal people through the music that you make, the words that you write, the words that you speak, comes from the depth of the sound. It's like your sound was born out of your silence. This is one of the most profound card combinations I've ever seen, both being right side up, to illustrate somebody's role in life as a poet, a mystic, a musician. So think of those 3 identifiers for yourself: poet, mystic, musician, because they are definite aspects of your personality. The adventure that you're going on right now with the insight, it's just a further step in that direction. And notice how both of these cards are showing an individual with the third eye activated, one by the moon, the other by a crystal. But the third eye is definitely the chakra with which you are the most connected. I would say third eye and throat probably equally. Your intuition coming through the third eye, and then the expression coming through the throat. My words are getting choked up as I look into the future, because there's a bit of a trial ahead, but you are going to be successful in it. And I know because both cards are right side up. In your outer world, there is somebody around you, either a person or a group of people, who are very encouraging at face value, saying that, yeah, you're great. I love what you're doing. You're so smart. Tell me more. But inside, they're like, heh heh heh. Like, what more can I take from this person? What I'm feeling is that you are so generous that it can almost be generous to a fault. And people around you who have this ulterior motive to take as much as they can are putting on this nice, happy face, pretending to be appreciative of all the gifts that you're giving. But really, they have this political agenda. They're miserly. They're trying to get as much as they can. And so if you ever feel drained after an interaction with people, It's your intuition telling you they're trying to take more than you have to give. And so I don't want to be overly dramatic or dwell on this, because all of your cards being right side up show that you're in a positive place. Generally speaking, the people around you are good. But just be aware of the fact that if you ever feel like somebody is taking advantage of you, trust that feeling and put a break on it. Like, don't overgive, don't overshare. If it feels like somebody is just draining your energy, you have the right to put up healthy boundaries. Maybe wear a crystal for psychic protection, just to keep yourself shielded from their greed. This can be black tourmaline, it can be black obsidian, any obsidian, snowflake obsidian, black obsidian, rainbow obsidian. Black tektite is really powerful. But any of those stones, shungite, pneumite, stones of psychic protection could really come in handy. And especially if you're starting to face childhood experiences and heal that inner child and connect with that inner child, the last thing that you need is a bunch of grown-up children, like man-child or woman-child, draining you and asking you for more and trying to take more. And so I'm going to ask for one other card here to explain the politics card, just so that we don't have a question mark. Who is it? What's the role of the individual? And it's already come out. The card of sorrow jumped as I was shuffling these cards. So there will be somebody in your life. You probably already know who it is because you're so intuitive. You've got that third eye power. There's somebody in your life who's kind of a downer. They are regularly in a bad mood, and you feel that it's your job to console them and comfort them and make them feel better. What these cards are showing is that that individual, especially the message coming to me, the person who tends to bring you down and make their problems your problem and expect you to solve everything, they are never going to heal their own inner difficulties. They're never going to face this individual if you allow them to get away with putting on that mask. And so it's like, when you start to put up healthy boundaries to the people who are draining you, that's when they're going to start actually healing. And it's going to be mutually beneficial. I'm not feeling that you need to cut somebody out of your life. I don't feel that they're doing this maliciously, malevolently, or meanly, despite the snaky look on this face on the card. It's more like that person just doesn't know how to deal with their emotions. And so you, being as powerful, insightful, intuitive, and healing as you are, they see you as the answer. Like, wow, this person, this pile 2 person makes me feel better, and so I'm going to glom onto them and never let them go. And meanwhile, that makes you start to feel drained and like you can't deal with your own healing because you've got to heal them. So what I feel is the best solution here, based on your cards, is for you to give advice and then let go until they've taken your advice. Give your suggestions, give your solutions, but don't keep repeating the same suggestions and solutions over and over again if you can tell they're falling on deaf ears. You are a powerful healer. There is a time coming up in your near future where you'll be healing some of your own heartbreaks from the past. And I don't feel that you've had a really crushing, devastating trauma in the past. What I feel is that your life experiences have sometimes been painful, but you've moved on. And now is a time where you can revisit some of those past pains to fully overcome them and to integrate that and to master healing what it is that you've gone through. And so this could be another reason this person sometimes drags you down and takes more than what you can give, because they see a kindred spirit. They see somebody who gets them, who has also gone through difficulty. But what I'm really feeling from those cards is that you have to put yourself first. It's important to really develop your gifts and share your sacred sound with the world and enjoy this adventure and enjoy your synchronicities, and don't get held back by somebody who doesn't believe in it, who's saying like, you always say love and light are wonderful, but I'm not feeling it, so it can't be true. That kind of stuff can really ruin our day. If you have a profound meditative vision or spiritual dream or positive experience, and then you go meet up with a friend who doesn't want to hear it, they just want to complain about stuff, it tends to put your spiritual joy on the back burner, or sometimes neutralize it or overpower it. Just be aware of this and be there for your friends. Love them, support them, but also put up some healthy boundaries and let them know, you know what? I need this many days a week to be on my own. You know, just have the confidence to tell people what you need also, so that it's not always about what they want to take. I'm going to ask for one last card for you who chose pile 2. What would be a good meditation for both pile 2 and for the person who tends to sometimes drain them, so that it doesn't feel to that person like pile 2 is shutting them out, and so that pile 2, as loving and generous as they are, don't feel guilty about leaving that person to their own device. Okay. You only more so, represented by the stone of ruby. So you only more so means, wow, being your strongest self, embodying that heart energy. How cool is this? That both of these cards for you have the symbology of the heart. And here the spider is not meant to be creepy or scary, so if you're arachnophobic like I am, just don't have the prejudice against the spider, because here she represents the grandmother spider who wove the web of reality, who spun the strands of light that created the world we're living in. You only more so means recognizing your creative capacity, and that the entire world that you live in is the world you spun for yourself. It's the web you created. And so if somebody has been caught in your web who is dragging you down sometimes, you have the right to respin that web and to release them from it. Sometimes like attracts like, and we find ourselves surrounded by a group of people who are exactly what we used to be, but once we outgrow them, we don't know what to do with their friendship anymore. You only more so means be your best self, and don't be afraid. Don't feel like you have to censor yourself. If somebody is going through a negative time, you don't have to dim your light or avoid talking about the great things happening to you, which we sometimes do. Like if you get a promotion and your friend lost their job, you feel like, well, shit, I can't talk about my promotion now because they'll feel bad. But no, talk about your promotion and trust that that will encourage them to know that the world isn't all bad, that bad things aren't constantly happening, and that it's possible to advance. That's just one example. I'm sure you know what I mean. But this card here, what to do in that situation so nobody feels hurt or shut out or guilty. You don't have to stop seeing those people who drain you. Just be even more powerfully you when you're around them, so that you don't allow their down to pull you down. Instead, shine even brighter and pull them up. You have that light within you. You have the intuition to know how to do it. And you can do it. You can help heal their sorrow and also heal your own heart by trusting that you have the right to be yourself as much as you can possibly be. So there we are. That's your reading. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope it was helpful for you. So much love to you, and we'll see you next time. Bye. And last but certainly not least, hello to you who chose pile 3, and welcome to your tarot reading. The crystal on top of the pile that you chose today is this luscious blue fluorite. I love, love, love the look of blue fluorite. I'm wondering if it's showing its true color. I'm going to put something white behind it so you can see the true blue-green sort of stripes in this pretty, pretty stone that you picked. So the energy of blue-green fluorite is healing to the third eye, really beautifully awakening the mind and connecting the mind with the throat, so your expression, tuning in with your intuition. And when you're drawn to a stone like blue-green fluorite, it means that you are a very intelligent person. You have a finely tuned intellect and an equally awakening intuition. Fluorite, it's a scholarly gem. I always recommend it to students when they're studying for exams because it helps with memory retention, and it also helps with formulating opinions and coming to conclusions. It's just a really cool stone of the intellect. So I have a feeling that you're somebody very scholarly. You love to learn. You love to read, maybe watch documentaries. Whether you're actually in school or a perpetual student of life, blue fluorite would make a great talisman as like a reminder and a confirmation that you are very smart. It's funny, I jumped right into it. I forgot to first, let's cleanse these cards by playing the singing bowl. As I do this, I'll set the intention that the decks are purified with this sound bath, and that all the messages that come through are coming through to serve the highest good of everyone who chose pile 3 for their reading. And likewise, this is interactive. Don't worry about when I filmed the video versus when you're watching it. Now is now for both of us. My now and your now are the now. So set the intention that the messages coming through now serve your highest good. And on that note, I'm setting the tarot cards aside. We're going to start your reading with the energies at play in your life now by looking at cards from the Crystal Ally Oracle. And we have present, past, and future. Wow, this is like a hat trick. 3 for 3. All 3 readings, pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. All of the cards are right side up from the Crystal Ally cards. So what this means is the energies available to you in life, you've tapped into them and recognized what these gifts are, and you're using them to your full advantage, which is awesome. The present moment is the card of Celestite. And what's funny is that as I was shuffling the deck, my eye kept wandering towards the little piece of Celestite I have on my tarot table, which is so cool because it's out of focus of the camera and I can't really move the camera or I wreck the whole tripod setup, but my little table here is covered in crystals, so it's significant that this is the one I was most drawn to. Celestite is the card of messages, and you see this angelic figure standing in this beautiful wildflower area with the waterfall behind her. And the message shows that now is a time when you are profoundly tuned into the messages coming to you from existence. Whether these are from your angels, your spirit guides, your Ishtadevata, the universe, a tarot reader on the internet, like whatever it might be, you are very tuned in right now. and existence is speaking to you. There is a message for you. So I wouldn't be surprised if you clicked on this video and decided to listen to a reading because you felt like there's a message for you. This is the confirmation that yes, there is a message for you. And don't worry, the other cards are going to help explain what that message is. The present moment refers to now, like this week in your time. The card in the past goes back about 3 months, so it's the 3-month journey from 3 months ago till now, which in your life has been a journey of acceptance. The card of lepidolite in this water element form shows that life hasn't been exactly what you expected it to be. And so you may have started the year expecting one thing, and then setbacks, maybe difficulties, maybe just unexpected twists and turns have made it into something totally different. But the lepidolite card being right side up shows that you were able to go with that flow, surrender into that water element, and accept the changes. And because of that, you've made the most of your life journey despite that unexpected turn that it took. When this card is reversed, for example, just to illustrate what the difference would be, if this card had been flipped over upside down, it would show that life took a path that you weren't expecting, and it was so difficult for you that that became like an insurmountable struggle. The fact that it's right side up shows that you have the quality of resilience, that even when things are unexpectedly changed, you are able to adapt to the new circumstance and make the most of something, even if it wasn't planned for. There are some people in this world who can't walk around the block without coming up with a plan. Like, okay, I'm going to leave the place. I'm going to turn right when I get to the sidewalk. I'm going to walk at a set speed so that I know that I'm home in 15 minutes. And there are people like me who only enjoy going for a walk if it's not planned. Like, I'll go outside and whatever direction I feel like turning, that's where I'll turn. Maybe I'll go to the park, maybe to a lake, maybe around the block, maybe down that street. What I'm feeling from the card of acceptance is that you have more in common with somebody like me than somebody who is a planner to the fault. Like, you had your plan and things happened differently, but you were able to spontaneously adapt. And because of that, you've found yourself in this beautiful place right now. I want to mention in this card of the present moment, the card of messages, part of the reason this angelic figure is so open and receptive and able to hear the messages of existence is because she's in this beautiful, safe space. And so regardless of where you are physically, this is where you are energetically, this flowering meadow with beautiful waterfalls and that crystal sky. You are in a good place for yourself. You've created a good place for yourself. And after your ability to accept life as it is in the past, which has led you to this receptive state where you're moving in the future. So the direction you've set for yourself and where I see you about 3 months from now is embodying the message of labradorite, which is magic. When the card of magic is here right side up, it shows that you will be able to understand your unique talents and abilities, your intuition, your psychic gifts, your abilities to manifest, your ability to see through the veil of perceived reality into the cosmos beyond. See how on this card, the labradorite, which is one of my favorite stones, see how the labradorite is almost being ripped open like a piece of paper, and behind it there's this cosmic background. When that card comes through in your reading, it shows that you will be able to peer beyond the veil of hard set reality and see the existence beyond it. See how There's that beautiful saying, we are all made of stars, or we are made of the same things dreams are made of. And people often quote these as a reminder to be in awe and an inspiration of ourselves, like the stardust that formed in the Big Bang has become the particles of our DNA helix. It's mind-boggling and it's really cool, right? And when we hear we are made of the same stuff dreams are made of, it's like the way you manifest an instant reality when you're dreaming in bed at night, the same way everything that exists in the human created world, meaning tables and iPhones and cards and singing bowls and jewelry, all of these started as ideas people had, as dreams people had. And it's kind of magical if you think about it, that this world had animals and plants and water and elements, and all the infrastructure we've built up is because of our magic, the ability of the human species to create. And of course, there have been good creations and bad creations, but what you're moving into in your future is the realization that you are very powerful when it comes to creating. So I would say the message that you tuned in to hear today is that you are magical. There's a power in your ability to accept reality and to go with the flow and to change when the outer world doesn't match up with your plans. It's a very strong gift to not be so rigidly stuck in your expectation that you're able to move on even when things go differently. Now is the time, I would say, for you to meditate as much as you can. Meditate, pray, talk out loud to your guides, maybe sit with your crystals if you have some, read your cards if you also have tarot and oracle cards. Do some introspection and listen. Messages might come to you in unexpected ways too. You might be wondering about something, and then later that day open a random book and the thing you were wondering about is explained in that book. Or you might overhear a conversation while standing in line at the grocery store and two people will be talking about something you were just thinking about. Or you'll turn on the radio and a song that's been stuck in your head will start playing. I feel that this is the type of intuition you're experiencing now more than ever. And that's how you know there are messages for you. And really the juice of those messages, like the main message, is that you are magical and you're moving into a near future where you will be really tapped into that magic. So those are your energies. Very, very interesting, mystical, cool energies represented by the Crystal Ally cards. And now I'm going to look at the physical qualities through the Osho Zen Tarot. We have present, wow, beautiful, past, and future. Just amazing. You know, I really have a belief that even though we are all on different unique life paths, there are celestial alignments that happen in the sky and energies pervasive on this earth that connect us all and that make us all kind of share in similar experiences. And I would say that belief, really, I find it confirmed in the fact that I've seen the Labradorite card come up in other readings today, and I've seen the comparison card come up in other readings today. And also, this is the fourth reading I'm giving today where all three of the energy cards are right side up, and this is the third reading I'm doing today where all three of the tarot cards are also right side up. So there's a really strong current that we're all experiencing at this moment, which is very fascinating. So the Harmony card is so similar to the card of messages. Do you remember, and I'm sure you must because I just said it, how when I was reading the message in your card of messages, I mentioned that you've created for yourself this space, regardless of where you are physically. The space you've created for yourself is represented by this meadow, so your inner space is flowering with these crystalline waters and that clear sky. This card represents you in that space. Like, this is your happy place. We don't see any details of the background. It doesn't show your house or your garden or the beach or the mountains or the city where you live. It's showing the meditative space, and this is really your happy place. So this card of harmony shows the perfect alignment and integration between the heart and the third eye, where your emotions and your intelligence are linked. And these two dolphins, who are the representatives of messages coming from the animal world, they're diving into your third eye, showing that you have that connection. You might feel really strongly drawn to the sea as well. Have pictures of the sea, pictures of mermaids, pictures of marine life. I can relate. I always wear this ring because it reminds me of the sea to which I feel drawn. But I see that in your cards too, because the Lepidolite card is a water element card. And now this harmony card is also a water element card. So what I'm seeing here, not only do you know on an energetic level that there are messages for you in existence, but also on a physical level, now is your time to meditate. You will feel more, I would say, more enthusiastic about sitting down and meditating now than you have in the past. And that's a very good thing, because look at magic. How I was saying you'll be able to see through this veil of reality to the cosmos. There's the consciousness card. There is you experiencing yourself as that cosmic consciousness. So you are definitely moving in a powerful direction when it comes to meditative awareness. I would even say enlightenment. You have enlightenment in your future. Before we get into that, the card of the past, how the energy you were going through was acceptance. The physical experience was the card of comparison. So it's definitely relating to your interpersonal relationships where things did not go as planned. You may have felt this relationship is forever, and then it came to an ending. Or these people are my friends, and then suddenly you're cut off from them. Or this place where I'm living is what I've always known, and suddenly the whole community changes and transforms, and it's unrecognizable. Your ability to accept those changes, despite how jarring they would have been, is how you've found the center within yourself. So rather than looking to people in the outside world to define you and to describe you and to be your foundation or your stability, you've been able to let go of the expectations you put on people around you and found an even deeper stability and identity within yourself. So you have moved away from comparison and discovered your inner harmony, which is very beautiful. Readings I've given very recently to the other groups 1 and group 2, are moving into this either in their present or in their future. So it's powerful. You are like a leader here energetically, where you've already gone through this. And it's likely that you know people in your life who are moving into that, who can benefit from your counsel because you've been through it already. The comparison card shows this perfect bamboo shoot and this perfect tree. And when we put them side by side, human nature is to categorize and maybe monetize or put a system of judgment where we decide which is better, which is bigger, which is stronger, which grows faster. And the two will never be identical. The bamboo shoot grows faster, the tree grows slower, but the tree is stronger and the bamboo is lighter. Neither is better, neither is worse, both are different. The fact that the comparison card is over the card of acceptance shows that you have been in a situation in your past, going back about 3 months, where your life was changed in a way you weren't expecting. And part of you compared your experience to others. Like, whoa, this thing that's happening to me that I didn't plan, why is it happening to me? That didn't happen to him. It didn't happen to her. But because the card is right set up, not upside down, it shows you were able to move past that energy of comparison and recognize the differences at hand in both, the benefits and the downsides to both. And you weren't caught up in a perpetual cycle of jealousy that hits a lot of people when they compare. You've really done your homework, so to speak. Those of you who chose pile 3, you've gone through difficulty. You did analyze the situation. You did look at your experience compared to others' experiences, but you took the best of that and brought it into the present moment harmony. Meditate, meditate, meditate as much as you can. I won't tell you which meditation to do, because any meditation you choose at this point, I feel you will be intuitively guided to. Maybe you watched my preamble before coming to your reading and heard the Moldavite meditation I explained. If you did listen to that, I would recommend, of course, you do the Moldavite meditation, especially moving into the cosmic consciousness, the super consciousness of enlightenment that I see in your future. But truly, anytime you can sit with yourself with your eyes closed, without any distracting stimuli from the outside, so no podcast playing, no music in the background, no video streaming in the background, like sit with yourself and listen to yourself. Maybe the most instruction for the meditation would be put your awareness in your heart and in your third eye and just be with that energy and feel it. You'll start hearing your own messages. In fact, you won't need tarot readings on the computer like this one that I'm doing. The messages will come to you instantaneously. And in fact, because these cards are in your present moment, they probably already do. And similarly to those in pile 1 and pile 2, this reading won't be really telling you anything surprising. It's more confirming what you already know. These messages you've already heard. But you can trust they're not too good to be true. It is the reality. You are here to realize you're magical. And the profound awakenings you're experiencing when you meditate really are leading you in this cosmic consciousness direction. This is one of my favorite cards because it's personal and impersonal at the same time. This Buddha figure in the cosmos, made up of stars with that glowing third eye, isn't a god looming above us to whom we must surrender our feeble, puny little human identities. This Buddha figure, it's you, it's me. This is us. It's not someone above us. It's our possibility and our potential to become that, not to be blessed by that, but to ascend into that. And I really see you moving quickly in that direction. And in fact, when you meditate because you enjoy your meditations and you love that feeling and that flow and the messages that come to you, when meditation isn't a chore that you have to do to come to the end result of consciousness, when the meditation is the experience of that consciousness, that's the most beautiful flow that you can have. The meditation itself is the goal. And that's what I'm feeling from you. So it's not even like this is the future you're moving towards. It's more like this is your now experience. And the continuation of that now is only going to become more and more of what it is. It's getting better and better. But I don't even want to use the word better that quantifies it or that makes it sound like it's something increasing. It's more just distilling. The alchemy of you becoming more deeply and more perfectly you is the path that you're on. And I have no advice for you, pile 3. Just keep doing what you're doing you're on the right track, and your experiences will continue to be as beautiful as they've been. You're right that there's a message for you from existence, and the message for you from existence is you are existence. You are that. I hope you enjoyed your reading today. Thank you so much for tuning into my video and watching this. I would love to hear your feedback in the comments. Thank you for joining me. I'd say all the best to you, but I already see all the best is coming to you and is you. So just thank you for sharing my tarot space with me today. So much love to you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.